All right.
Right. Hey, John. Thanks for
Hi.
joining the call. Really nice seeing you in person on Zoom.
We can call it in person in
Yeah,
the modern
yeah,
world.
I guess so. Well, I mean, I want to get right into it. Yeah, thanks for joining. I am right now representing an organization at UCLA called Bruin AI. We're UCLA's top AI organization, and we work with various companies, mentors like yourself, to just bring a lot of AI knowledge to students. And so part of this is just, um, you know, giving students a new perspective on how to build in this space. I think I'm particularly very, very inspired by your journey. I follow you on Twitter
Thanks.
and LinkedIn, been doing that for a while, and I think it's a very unique take that you have on building as a solopreneur. I heavily follow a lot of your advice, so I know this call is going to be very interesting. Yeah, but I would love for you to give maybe a general introduction to everybody. And because it's a small group, I think it'll be good if everybody can give like a 20-second introduction of themselves as well and what they're looking to get out of this call.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Thanks for having me and making this happen. So I'm a Bootstrap founder. I'm building a lot of tools to help other Bootstrap founders to build their startups without outside capital. So that's kind of my mission to make it affordable for everyone in the world to build startups. And in the past, I'm coming from a venture-backed background. I've been building venture-backed startups for a decade, and I've done everything that a startup founder can do in the traditional startup world. I lived in Silicon Valley. I went into the accelerators, raised money, raised seed, raised Series A, had exits, everything. And eventually I tried bootstrapping and fell in love with it. I love the other bootstrappers. I love the movement, and I think I'm the ambassador of bootstrap movement now.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'll start off with my introduction and then we can sort of
Yeah,
go around the room. But hi, I'm Akshay, and I am a fourth year at UCLA now. Been very interested in AI's aspect of just 100xing the output of everything. And so I try to make a lot of automations for myself as well. I'm currently trying to do a lot of social media automation, so that it can just help bolstering my personal brand on that side as well. But yeah, I have a background in sales and PM as well. I love startups. We treat Bruin AI as one as well. Yeah, happy to be here.
thanks.
Any Anybody can go.
I can go next. So, hi, I'm Jacob. I'm a third year BusyCon and data science engineering minor at UCLA. I'm from Denmark. I saw you're from Norway, so it's good to kind of see like the
Oh,
Scandinavian
hey,
connection. Um, I joined UCLA as like the typical business econ major, and over the past 2 to 3 years, I've realized that the world is changing far too quickly to go into the typical business roles, and so I want to go into a lot more AI and startup focused work. And so the past 2 years, I've been helping Akshay and the rest of the team build up Bruin AI, and I've kind of been more on the internal side of the team. But this year, I'm looking to kind of expand my own portfolio and do some interesting projects.
Hi, I could go next. Hi, everybody. My name is Karen, and I'm a fourth year molecular cell and developmental biology major at UCLA, and also incoming data science and health masters at UCLA. And I joined Bruin AI because I was on the pre-med track, but then I realized that I really enjoy the intersection between AI and healthcare, and I want to develop my AI technical skill set. And I'm just really interested in like entrepreneurship and health technology. So really excited to hear more about your experiences on this call.
yeah,
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm studying communications and computing. Right now, I'm a part of a few different AI labs and specifically really interested in AI cognition. I'd like to go to grad school for it. I really like your content as well. I've been following you ever since I saw Akshay was following you. And I am super curious to learn more about your tech stack and how everything works.
thank you.
Yeah, I can go next. Hi, I'm Utkarsh. I'm a fourth year computer science student. I'm also an incoming PhD slash master student at UPenn. I've been a researcher at UCLA since my freshman year. I have published like a few papers which went to Europe and AAA. Have been super involved in working with startups since the beginning, and yeah, super excited about like what you're building and trying to see like what I can learn from it. As I'm also building a few different products at the moment, and would love to get some feedback if possible.
Yeah, sure.
I can hop in next. I'm Ishani. I'm a second year student. I'm a cognitive science and computing student. So I'm really interested in the intersection of AI cognition as well, Jordan. And essentially the intersection of like psychology and computer science. That's something I'm super interested in. I haven't gotten into the startup space as much, but that's something that I hope to do a little bit more of next year. So I'd love to hear your insights on that, especially from the product side, as I'm looking to go into PM and strategy roles. So I'm super excited to hear your insights on that.
I can go next. I'm a third year CS major, but that's the boring part. I've actually done a few startups, really enjoyed working there, gotten one acquired, and I'm really interested in like hacking and using AI to optimizing not just daily life, but also like products and businesses. And I'm really excited to be in this call to learn more from you.
Thank you.
Great. Is that it? I saw rather hesitant. All right. Well, I mean, I know we've got to be quick on time, so I'm gonna leave a good 10 minutes in the end for question answers. These next 10 minutes just have a few big questions that I hope helps everybody else as well. But I think the biggest question I have is you're building 24 different products right now. That's sort of, I think, unheard of in a lot of ways. Uh, and I'm just wondering what your approach is in first thinking of what to build, and how are you launching and scaling all of those ventures together? And why not just build one thing like a lot of people?
Yeah, I think people should build one thing when they start, and they should succeed with one project. And when they have success with one project, they can build a lot more for the same audience. That's what I do. So it looks like I'm building a lot of different stuff and there is no connection whatsoever, but it is well-planned strategy. So I built one tool for one audience, which is busy founders. And then when I have the audience, I see their other problems and I build more products to solve those problems. So that answers your next question, how I come up with ideas. And the first idea was hard because I had nothing to start with, but I built the audience first. So that's why I always suggest, like, some of you said that you're doing healthcare, some do some psychology and different kind of stuff. So the best way to approach startups, if you don't want to gamble and you want to reduce the risks and increase the odds of success, is to start by building the audience within the niche that you understand well. And it's usually the niche you're studying, right? Because you already have your classmates and you already go to conferences, etc. So I think it's really important to use this time to actually become one of the important voices in your community. And then eventually, when you finish your studies, you can go farther and find the same community that's already working somewhere or doing business and be important voice there. And when you build that audience, then you will have no shortage of ideas because when you talk to people, usually people do two things: they brag and they complain. And when you hear what they complain about, you will come up with products. And then also the other thing that's cool about having an audience is that you don't have to even build a product first. You can just pitch the solution without having a product. And that's what I do. So I usually start by building audience first, and I pitch solutions. And usually, most of the solutions you pitch fail, but it's easy to fail for a solution, because it's like there's no effort compared to the product that you would spend a year building, right? It's free to propose solution. And also in most cases, it's not like solution is really bad. It's rather something is wrong in it. And then you can iterate and propose new solutions and do that hundreds of times and eventually come up with a perfect solution that resonates with people and they want to hear more about it. And that's where you have the sign that you can go and build something that's more than just you talking about the solution. And in that case, kind of you don't really have the risk to fail because you already validated. So to answer your question, where you start with, like how I run so many projects and why do I do that? So I would say I don't look at myself as somebody running a lot of projects. So for me, it's all giant project. Like I'm simplifying life for busy founders who don't want to hire people but want to hire software. So I'm kind of building the software employees for other founders who don't like to work with other people. They just want to work with software, like myself. And that's why I keep adding those products, but for me, it's the same audience, the same distribution channel, and and that's why I don't find it difficult actually. It looks difficult, but it's not that difficult. In fact, also since I'm my own customer, so I do where I preach. And that's why I don't have a lot of people who work with me. So most products I do, it's either just me or me and one person. And that's why it's not that many people to manage. And I work mostly with software. Software does most of the work for me. And that's why you can scale that infinitely. You can't scale humans because at some point you need managers and then managers on top of the managers. But with software, you can just scale it infinitely. Like I have these tools for growth, for example. And when I get new product, I just activate that product in that tool, and that's it. Like it kind of takes me 1 minute and nothing more, right? And the software does the job in a predictable way. I know that it will do the work. Like it's not like with a human where I know that human may just lose motivation or anything. Yeah, that's kind of the long answer for
Mm,
your short question.
that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. I think I noticed two things that I want to go deeper into. One is the software and AI development part. And the other is the distribution of, okay, how do you create that community
Yeah.
itself? I think I remember from one of your other interviews, you talked about how you talk to sometimes you talk to more AI agents and software than people as well. And a lot of your workflow is looking like when you're posting on social media, like an AI agent comes to you and you tell it what to do. And you're sort of talking to multiple of these at the same time. First, what does that look like? And then the second part is the how do you build the community itself?
Yeah, so I use a lot of agents and workflows and tools. So there is differentiation here. So agents are the tools that I don't have to control. So they have their purpose, their goal, and their outcome, and they just work hard, and I never have to touch it. That's, for example, SEO bot. Like I never touch it. I just activate it once, and I, I never open it again. It just does the work. Then I have the tools that are more like AI tools that do certain things almost like a human, but then I have to do the rest of the work. For example, I have the tools that find all the good content on social media using AI. So they basically read the content on social media as I would read it, and they find everything that's cool that I would answer to or I would bookmark. And then I have the short list that I read and I interact with. That saves me a lot of time, so I don't have to doom scroll internet because that's really dangerous. You start scrolling and you end up watching cat videos or some gorilla against human stuff. That so I have a lot of tools like that, and then I have the chatbots that are trained to do certain things, and I talk to them. For example, I have one that's for ideation. So whenever I have an idea, I talk to that chatbot, and if we discuss and uh, come up to a conclusion that the idea is good, I go and pitch that to the social media. Then I have one about SEO, one about design, one about the sales and cold emails and everything. So I have a lot of them and I keep creating more and more of them. So it's kind of like custom GPTs where it's similar to regular chat GPT, but it has certain context, it has certain knowledge, it has access to, and that's why it is more useful and it's easier to use it. And also it has access to the stuff that the regular chat GPT doesn't have access to,
Mm.
like some of
And
my information.
and I'm wondering, how does that technically look like, given that all of us are sort of technical majors? I'm sure we would love to understand. Is it like some sort of AI agent framework? How does it look like?
Uh, Yeah, there are many ways of doing that. I built my own thing for that. So I built my own ChatGPT wrapper that has RAG, where the RAG is my Notion and my emails and my Discord servers and things like that. So each agent has access to certain things that I mark that it can have access to. But I think there are tools you can use out of the box for that. I built my own stuff way before others built their stuff. That's why I had it from 2022, so I've been using it for a long while. But now I think there are a lot of. I think even the ChatGPT and other tools actually support custom RAG from Google Drive and other sources, so you can actually use and build custom GPTs right there, right inside ChatGPT and other chatbots. And then when it comes to the agents, again, the same thing. So I have a project called Mars X, where you can build AI agents, and it's pretty much coding. So I use TypeScript, JavaScript. There's no magic. So like building AI agents is basically regular programming with a lot of prompting. So you do a lot of prompt engineering, but then you put a lot of code to glue things together too. So there's no big difference. And I think like people ask me, how should I learn to build agents? And my answer is you have to learn to write code first and build software. And then when you know how to build software, you can build agents too. It's the same thing, but you add prompting on top of it.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. I think my last question before I open it up to everybody.
I didn't ask for your second question, so it was about the
Yes,
audience.
yes, the audience.
And
That's it.
yeah, so building an audience, some people think that that will be the only thing that's left in the post AGI world. And it might be true, it might be not, but even if that's not true, I think there's high value on having an audience because you can, first of all, it helps you to understand what to build, and you will be surprised how hard it is to come up with idea. So coming up with an idea is easy when you're like me. So basically, for me, I have too many ideas I come up with every day. But I remember when I was 20 or 25 or 27, and it was really hard, and I didn't like my own ideas. And I think my mistake was that I had no audience, and I didn't know that. Nobody told me that. And I thought that ideas will just come up magically while I sleep or I shower, but they never did. So I think you should look at the audience as a prerequisite for building a business because that's where you're going to come up with idea. And then how to build an audience. Uh, and it is one simple rule. You have to be producing the content for the audience you have that they would be willing to pay for. You give it for free, but they would be willing to pay for it. So they would be okay to pay for that. And since you are usually your own audience, so typically you produce, so you want to build an audience within your own kind of group, then you can judge your content yourself and ask yourself, would you pay for this? Because like people come to me and show me their Twitter profiles and they say like, I'm trying to build an audience and I have just 100 followers. How do I grow? And then I scroll their profile and all the tweets are like, short sentences about questions or whatever. I'm like, would you pay for that? Like, why would you pay for a question? Why would you pay for a wisdom quote? Why would you pay for a complaint? Like you would never pay for that and that and that, right? So that's that easy. So you have to produce the content that people would pay for and just test on yourself. Would you pay for it? Ask your friend, would you pay for it? And then it's easy to understand what exactly you have to produce. So you have to produce high effort content that takes hours and days and weeks to produce. You have to do research. You have to save people time. That's why they will pay for that content. And eventually you can end up charging for the content if you don't want to build your products, because that's pretty good too. Like you get paid for the content by Substack and others. Yeah. So that's the answer.
Okay.
Like high effort content that your audience would pay for.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. I'm also trying to create as much value as I can, and in exchange of that value, people um, are more likely to, follow your journey along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, opening it up to everybody else. I know everybody had some questions. Yeah, anybody can go first.
I mean, I had a quick a question about like your location. So you're based in Oslo, right?
But right now I'm in Istanbul in Turkey,
Okay.
but
Wow.
I'm kind of
So
moving
how is it?
between Oslo and Istanbul.
Okay, that's very cool. How is it kind of being like typically everyone's like the startup world is in Silicon Valley, it's in the US, it's in
Yeah.
California. How is it being somewhere that isn't those locations? How is it working remotely? Do you feel like you're ever missing some of those kind of like in-person communications, or do you think everything can just be moved online nowadays?
I think that I was so lucky to be locked here for a random reason. I don't even remember why that happened, but I get locked here during the COVID times. And that forced me to go to internet and build the audience and follower base and learn to sell stuff over the internet and basically learn to run business completely online, like 100% online. I have never met my customers, partners, nobody has ever seen me in person. So I might not even exist, right? Like you never know. So I think in today's world, things have changed completely. And 5 years ago, if you ask me or anyone else, is it possible to do what I did by not being in Silicon Valley or in London or in New York? Uh, I would say absolutely not. But now I think it's actually the opposite. It's your advantage to not be present offline and be online, because the difference is that if you make it work online, your leverage is huge, right? Like if you're doing something on offline, you go to an event and you try to be lucky and meet one person that opens one door for you. Like that's kind of the game there, right? And when you're online, it won't happen. Like there's no one person that will open the door for you. So you ignore all those kind of methods where you go through your close network person per person and you go for more mass methods where there's no one person, but it's a lot of people. And if that works, then it scales really big, really big. And that's what happened with me, and not only with me, a lot of people like me. So I think that's the new way. That's why I would only go for offline old way if I already had certain circumstances, like my family's well connected, or I'm living in a neighborhood where everybody's is rich and they're founders or sons of founders or daughters. But unless you have that, you will end up chasing, like spending decades thinking that you are this close to meeting the right person, showing your idea to the right investor, and it will kind of keep driving you forward. But you will end up being like 30, 35 and realizing that, all those stories where somebody does that and it works out, it's more like an exception of the rule. But imagine how many people tried as well and never made it. So I think it's safer to do it online, and it's easier as well because it's just not so many people do that right now. It's not that popular yet. So in the next 2, 3 years, it's a good timing. I think in 10 years from now, that will be the new norm. So that will be everybody will be doing that way. So it'll be hard again. But right now, it's a good timing. So if like for all of you, I would recommend betting it all on online, even while you have offline community and everything. And it seems like it's easier just to go to the event and grab a beer with somebody. Well, but the outcome is really small. Like you and the person, You have one more person in your network, and maybe you're lucky and that person is useful and you're useful to the person. Well, in online world, in one day, you can, be seen among hundreds of people or thousands of people.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was actually a really interesting answer.
Yeah.
I had a quick question of maybe how do you use these agents and automations in your personal life? If you do.
Yeah. So the first use of AI in my life was I was using Tinder, and I automated the app, both the swiping and the messaging, at least the first messages. That was long time ago. That was like 2021, before you probably even heard about AI, because like everybody knows AI from 2022 when ChatGPT launched, but the GPT was available for many years before that, and I've been using it. And so that's where I automated that first with the first message in the chat, where it would read the person's profile and then create a message that's not generic, but more like following some of the hobbies and everything. It was really useful. So it worked out. I got married and got kids and everything. So successful story. But right now, I use it a lot in healthcare. Like I don't remember who was from the healthcare world, somebody. So my rabbits got sick, and the vet said that it's 1% chance they will survive. You just kind of hibernate them. I just went for ChatGPT and spent days talking to it, and eventually my rabbits are doing well. So everything is fixed, cured. Uh, that's a miracle. So basically, I did it myself, just me, AI, and some medicine. Then my mom had her appendix removed, and there were some complications. And again, I just put everything that was happening to her into AI, everything from the start to the operation, all the blood tests, all the photos, and everything. And the AI was guiding the whole process every day and telling what's happening, what to do next. And we would bring that back to the doctor, and we would say to the doctor that this is another doctor. So we didn't say it's AI. And then in 100% cases, doctors agreed with what AI said in 100% cases. And in about 30% cases, AI was saying something different than the doctor originally said, and doctor has changed their opinion about the thing when they saw what we brought in, right? So, and everything ended well too. So she's well now. It's been like 4 months, like all good, but it was pretty complicated. She's old woman, so it wasn't an easy case. So in healthcare, I think like if I had nothing to do right now, I would go into healthcare plus AI. Like I think that's the best value for society. It's really needed, and the AI we have now is good enough to make a breakthrough. Nothing new has to happen. Like what we have today is enough to completely transform healthcare, both for animals. You could start with animals because that's kind of safer, right? And easier. And also, it's really expensive healthcare for animals, and that's why I think it's really easy to sell to the dog or cat owners. And I use it basically for everything else, like education. I have kids and I educate them with AI. So my daughter, she talks to AI for like hour or two every day, like ChatGPT voice mode. She talks to AI and about things. She asks about biology and things like that. Perfect. So it basically saves me money on paying for tutors. And she tried both the tutors and AI, and she doesn't like tutors. She likes AI more. So she has both. Every day she has 2 hours of AI, 2 hours of tutors. And she asked like, can I have just AI, not the tutors? It's crazy, right? So AI is good enough right now to use for literally everything in your personal life, and I think you should use it. And also, if you're thinking about business ideas, a lot of business can be built out of that.
Great, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
We should take 2 more questions.
Yep.
I mean, what you said about your daughter reminded me of another question I have. One of the things I've been thinking about recently is like when you look at high schoolers, I have a little brother who's in high school, I feel like you see a lot of people right now are automating away like their thinking process. They use ChatGPT to write essays, they use ChatGPT to basically do all the thinking for themselves. And I see it as a potential risk in the future where people just don't develop those critical thinking skills and don't develop those same media literacy skills. How would you kind of say in this like world, and this might be like too broad of a question, but how would you say in this world that we can kind of find the balance between using the best parts of AI to enhance our work, but also at the same time not making it so we outsource all of our intelligence and stop learning?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I think we are probably risking of having serious troubles with the upcoming generation because they have access to AI, and whatever you do, people will end up going to the easier path and just using it, right? Now, I think what I do with my daughter, and with myself even, I don't use AI to ask questions. So basically, I have the system prompt for this AI that talks to my daughter, and it always starts with, "Don't answer questions as if you are a Wikipedia, but always ask questions back to exercise the thinking in the person who asked you." So basically, when my daughter talks to AI, it always asks her back. So AI asks more questions than she does. And it's so good at actually asking the questions in a way that you end up answering your own question. And that's brilliant because that's what good teachers do. So I think the beauty of AI that is that we can turn AI into the best teacher in the world. But then, of course, people can use AI in a different way, and then they will have the shortcuts and they will not develop critical thinking, and that's really bad. I think it's as bad as kids using social media from the age of 8. So we have two problems, like social media and AI, that's used simply for questions. And I think the only way to fight with that is to basically not let your kids do that. I don't know how, but you just shouldn't let them do that. It's like drags for kids, it's like impossible to avoid temptation.
I think it's the same thing for college students. It's kind of scary how every
Yeah,
single student in like classes has ChatGPT open all the time.
I
It
can
makes
imagine
them
myself in a school, and if I had like I had some things as well. There was internet, right? And we used that as much as we could, of course. And if there was more than that, like AI would use that too. And that means that since we see that it's impossible to stop students from using it, I think we have to change the way we educate kids. I think the traditional education where it's all based on exams and homework and all those assignments, like it can't work. Like you're doing your assignment at home. Like what? It's impossible to make you do it yourself if there's a AI that can do it. Like it's impossible. Like 1%, even less than that will do it. So that's why we should get rid of assignments, and there has to be some new way of evaluating students. And I think that will be quite interesting to see what if we're going to invent anything there.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I 100% agree.
Last question, Karen.
Hi. I was
Hi.
curious because you mentioned that there's like a lot of potential for AI in healthcare. What are some of like the biggest opportunities that you see for like AI changing the landscape? Because I thought a lot about like AI and drug development, where it is like a highly regulated industry and you need to go through like phases of clinical trials. So like what are some like the opportunities that you see like that like are probably going to be like the best utilized within like the next couple of years?
Yeah, so start with dogs and cats because, or or even I don't know, birds. So people have a lot of pets now, and start with the healthcare of pets because there are no regulations there, or not as much as for humans. So pets also need drugs and medicine and everything. So I would start there. That's super safe and low hanging fruit. I would not do something that requires any government approval because it's obvious that governments won't be really actively supporting that because that's gonna disrupt everything, and people who own the supply chain and the whole industry, they're unhappy with this development and they will not be happy. So there will be a lot of regulations against AI, I'm sure, in healthcare, in construction, in education, and all these traditional government backed lobbied systems. So that's why basically You have to make sure that whatever you do can be done. And you should not hope that government will actually start helping you. It will rather do the opposite. So whatever is kind of possible now might be impossible in the future because there will be new rules. But again, I would, when it comes to healthcare, I would start with healthcare of pets, animals. Like that's safe, and I don't think there will be regulations coming for that.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much, John. I think one last thing is if you have any tips or words of wisdom for our students. We're all in our early years, obviously, and very interested in entering the AI field and leveraging as much as possible. Also, I think being at UCLA, this is a very big feeder school, so a lot of students just go the traditional path of getting into a big tech job and just get there. In my opinion, the future doesn't look like that in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, any words of advice or tips from you?
Yeah, I think that we might see the world where jobs don't exist. It doesn't mean that people have nothing to do. It just means that I don't think we will see the world where people hire other people to do the jobs. Because if you have a choice between hiring a human and using software, or hiring AI agent for that, or hiring a human that does this job not as an employee but as a contractor, where they are responsible for the whole outcome, not for the process, you will go for that. So that's the market force, right? And that's happening now. Like, look at me. Like, I'm competing with people, with other companies who have hundreds and thousands of employees, and in often cases I outcompete them, and they have almost no people. And that will be the common scenario in the future. That's why I would not bet on making a fortune by being employed. I would I would say it's smart to get a job, to create network, to make some money early on that you can use as your safety net, etc. But I would just see that as temporary uh, model. But long term, I think you should figure out a strategy for life where you end up by being your own boss, and by basically being paid not for the time but for the output. Like, that's kind of the rule you should have. You have to make money by selling your skill and your expertise, not your time, because I think the human time, the value of human time will go just lower and lower and lower, and eventually will go to zero.
Makes a lot of sense. All right. Well, don't want to take much of everybody's time, but John, thank you so much again for hopping on the call. I'm really inspired, and yeah, looking forward to keeping in touch and talking more.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
so
for
much.
creating this event. It was cool. I felt like I went back 15 years into my school again. You're nice people.
Hopefully a good feeling. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's
All
very
right,
good. It's very
everybody.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Okay,
everyone.
Thank
bye.
you, John.
Thank you.
Bye.